gentlemen, start your engines.
Welcome to the garage area at Pocono International Raceway in Pennsylvania as we prepare for the start of the Miller High Life 500. I'm Mike Joy, and I'm with a man who will make his 999th career NASCAR start this afternoon. And Richard Petty, that number sounds like an awful long time.
It's a good sounding number, but it took a long time to get there, that's for sure.
Well, 200 victories in that span of time, and nobody else in NASCAR racing has won but half as many, is an enviable record. But that's in the past, and what about 1986?
Well, you know, we're just trying to get our team together, back together at Petty Enterprises. Dale come on board this year, and we're just waiting for everything to really start happening. We think we've got the people and the organization, and so far it's just not gelled like, say, as quick as what we think it should have. But we're very optimistic. We feel like this is going to be the race. If we don't get it this time, we'll get it next week. So as long as the boys feel like that, we're going to wind up getting some.
Well, the STP Pontiac is known for charging to the front on the starts here, and this racetrack is known for being very, very competitive. But with 3 different corners and 3 different length straightaways and 3 different degrees of banking, what part of this racetrack do you set up for?
Well, I don't know, really. I'll tell you, it's been 4 or 5 races since I won a race up here, so I must not be setting up for the right deal. But really, you just sort of try to get a happy medium for all the corners. If you set up perfect for one corner, then you miss 2 of them, so you have to sort of go around the racetrack and get something that works fairly decent in all 3 corners, and not necessarily that you get through better than anybody through one particular corner. You just get better through 3 of them, and that's what it takes.
Well, Richard hasn't won here in a couple of years, but the fellow who won both Winston Cup races at Pocono in 1985 is standing with Jerry Punch.
I'm with a fellow who set a NASCAR record last year with 11 wins. 2 of the wins came here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. That's Bill Elliott. Bill, the wins didn't come easy last year here at Pocono. You didn't lead that many laps, but when the checkered flag fell, you were the fellow waving at the crowd.
Well, like I said last year, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. And, the thing of it is, I made some right moves there at the end of the race, and I ended up coming across there at the end first. And that's the main thing, is just deciding what everybody's going to do. I feel like if you can stay close all day long here, you got a good a chance as anybody winning the race.
A spectacular year last year for you, 11 wins and 11 poles, but it's been a frustrating season thus far in '86. But you've been so close to getting that first win.
Well, we've had a lot of things go wrong. Ernie's been sick, and I think that's been some of it. And, the competition has definitely gotten a lot better. We've struggled along. We've had our problems. We've run good a lot of places, and then a lot of places we've just been in a situation that we've just run out of luck.
How about today? How does it look for you?
Well, I know I got my work cut out for me. I started 11th, and I'm sure it's going to be a long day. But like I said, if you can stay there, stay close, run all day long, and be there at the end, I got as good a chance as anybody win this race.
Well, Bill Elliott cautiously optimistic about his run today. Let's go to the editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, Dick Berggren, standing by with our pole sitter, Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine has finished 2 races in 1986 without car trouble, and in both cases, he won the race. Jeff, what can we expect today?
No car trouble, and that means a victory. We really feel like the Exxon Levi Garrett car is ready to win again. It won at Dover, the same car, a Lexus we call it. And I think it's ready today. The engine's running good, Dick. The crew's ready. They're pumped up. I'm pumped up. I'm ready. Just need to get racing.
The sky is threatening. It looks like rain. What will your strategy be?
Well, we need to be near the front, and especially towards that halfway point in case the weather does break on us and rain comes and they call the race early. We're hoping it goes the distance. We want these people that came here today to see a 500-mile race. That's what they're here for. So we're hoping it stays clear like it is right now. This Air Force guy's shaking up the clouds a little bit. He's putting on a heck of a show up there. I hope we can do that good down here on the track.
You're on the pole with a new track record. Is the car vastly superior to anybody else, or who are you most worried about?
Oh, boy, let me look here. There's about 10 or 15 cars I'm pretty worried about. We're not superior than anyone here. A lot of good cars. Benny Parsons, outside pole. Tim Richmond's right behind me. Just so many good cars. Why we've been getting poles, I don't know. Don't have an answer for that. I guess it's we're just lucky right till now getting pole positions, but we do work pretty hard at it. I like to qualify. I like to be up front. My crew likes me to be up front. So we put a big effort into qualifying, but when the race starts, everyone's pretty equal back through here.
You say 10 cars you're worried about. That suggests a very competitive event.
Well, it's probably more than 10, and it will be competitive. They're going to see a good show here.
The U.S. Air Force have a big part in the pre-race ceremonies here at Pocono as this F-15 fighter puts on what has already been a 5-minute display. Right now, you see it traveling at about 450 miles an hour. Our stock cars won't be that fast, but we hope they'll be that agile in the 500 this afternoon. We'll be back with the starting lineup after this. The 2.5-mile tri-oval here at Pocono, Pennsylvania is unique. Each corner has a different radius and a different banking. Each straightaway is of a different length. The track requires a tremendous amount of compromise in the setup of the car and in the driving style. But it's a very competitive racetrack. Over the last several years, there have been more lead changes at Pocono than any other track on the Winston Cup circuit. But even so, Jerry Punch, the fellow who has led the most laps here is not always the guy in victory lane.
That's the case last year, Mike. You know, Jeff Bodine led over 150 laps in the first race last year, only to be foiled by a series of caution flags late in the race. Neil Bonnet led most of the laps in the second race, the July event. He didn't win. He came home second. So it doesn't always mean you're going to win if you go out and lead most of the laps here at Pocono.
Well, Jerry will be up in the booth calling the action with me today because my regular color commentator, Benny Parsons, has a slightly different role this afternoon. Dick Berggren is with him.
Well, ordinarily, Benny Parsons is one of our color people on the SETN broadcast, but today you've got a real job, don't you?
Different switch today. I'm trying to make a living today, Dick. You know, and this is great. Being on the front row at Pocono, the car has been good all week, and I just hope we can continue on for the next 500 miles.
Now, you've won at Pocono, so you know how to do it. What are your chances today, Benny?
Well, I don't really know because we didn't get a lot of time with our race engine in the car. We only had one lap, one serious hard lap with a race engine, and I really don't know how we are, and I don't know if the chassis is the way we'd want it because of the weather conditions we've had here this weekend. So I'm on the front row, and that's about all I can tell you right now. We're kind of in the dark.
Well, the SETN team is on your side and hoping for a good finish today.
I hope so. Hey, guys, make it good.
As the Air Force fighter plane completes its exhibition and the field is assembled down on the starting grid for this 500-mile test, we'll take a look at the starting lineup for today's Miller High Life 500. On the pole, new track record for Jeff Bodine of Chemung, New York. His Levi Garrett Chevrolet turned the track at 153.652 miles per hour. 7 drivers broke the track record in qualifying. On the outside pole, you've just heard from Benny Parsons. His Copenhagen Oldsmobile has the second spot. He turned the track just 0.2 of a second slower than Bodine's pole-winning run.
Inside row 2, Tim Richmond in a Chevrolet, 152.957 miles per hour, the young driver in the car number 25. Flanking Richmond on row 2 will be Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. Gant's Chevy at 152.877 will start 4th.
The driver who led the most laps here last July, Neil Bonnet from Bessemer, Alabama, in Junior Johnson's Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet, is inside of row number 3 at 152.7, and Terry Labonte, the former Winston Cup champion from Corpus Christi, Texas, has his Piedmont Airlines A&W Trucking Oldsmobile outside of row number 3.
Rusty Wallace, fresh from his first win of the year in Bristol, Tennessee, and the number 27 will start inside row 4 in 7th spot. In 8th spot, the winningest driver of the season thus far. 3 wins for Dale Earnhardt in his Chevrolet, the Wrangler Goodrich Chevrolet, qualifying at 152.382 miles per hour.
The defending Winston Cup champion, Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, teammate to Neil Bonnet, has his Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet starting in the 9th position. And rounding out the top 10, the tough man from Timminsville, South Carolina, Cale Yarborough, driving the Rainier Lundy Racing Hardee's Ford Thunderbird, the first Ford in an otherwise all-GM top 10. Bill Elliott's Coors Ford Thunderbird, defending champion of this race, has the 11th spot next to Bobby Allison's Miller Buick. In the 7th row, the STP Pontiac of Richard Petty and the Motorcraft Ford of Ricky Rudd.
Row 8, Morgan Shepherd out of Conover, North Carolina, in the car number 47, flanked by Ron Bouchard in the Mike Curb number 98. Then comes Phil Parsons at Upland, California's Joe Ruttman.
Buddy Baker in the Crisco Olds has the 10th row with Randy LaJoy in the Snellman Construction Chevrolet. Then it's Tommy Ellis, Friedlander Mortgage Chevrolet, and Dave Marcus in the Helen Ray Special.
Row 12, Kenny Schrader, Champion Spark Plug Rookie of the Year in the car number 90. Jody Ridley, a former winner on the circuit. Kyle Petty looking for his second win of the year, and Pancho Carter.
Back in row 14, Buddy Arrington in a Ford Thunderbird, Mike Waltrip's Pontiac. rookie Chet Phillips Ford, and D.K. Ulrich Chevrolet.
Row 16, J.D. McDuffie, independent driver. In the number 70, Eddie Bierswell, number 64. Jimmy Means, independent from North Carolina, Forest City. And Bobby Gerhardt in the number 85.
Modified driver Jerry Cranmer in the Hilton Racing Chevrolet. Another modified star, Jack Ely. Bobby Hillen Jr. in the Miller Buick, and Trevor Boys.
Row 20 has Jonathan Edwards in the number 92, and independent Rick Newsom from Lake Wiley, South Carolina.
The field is on the pace lap. We'll be right back for the start of the Miller High Life 500. We are facing threatening skies here in the mountains of eastern Pennsylvania as we're getting set to start the Miller High Life 500. Yesterday's Monroe time trials almost got washed out, but Jeff Bodine managed to win the Busch pole with a speed of 153.6 miles per hour. Here they come down the front straightaway to face the starter stand in as orderly fashion as you'll see these cars all day. Green flag is on, and quickly they fan out the width of the racetrack.
Cars separating maybe 3 and 4 wide. Back in the pack, you see them now 5 wide as they come up through the gearbox and head toward turn 1.
That's Tommy Ellis way on the inside, about midpoint through the pack. He picks up a couple of positions on the brake.
Turn 1 is a real tight hairpin. It's the most banked of all the 3 turns at Pocono, some 16 degrees, but Bodine looks like he's got a shot out of turn 1.
Starting from the inside pole, Bodine had a decided advantage, and where is Benny Parsons? Bodine's teammate Tim Richmond in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet is perking along right on Bodine's bumper as they head up for turn 2.
Jeff Bodine has already won twice this year. Richmond still looking for his first win. He would like to have been on the pole here. It was awfully close. Now he's going to work over his teammate and see if he can make a move up in turn 3.
They may be teammates, but there's no team orders here. Whichever driver can get to the front will do so. Turn 3 very flat, deceiving as you see the exit of it here onto the front straightaway. They travel over 3,000 feet down toward turn number 1 again, and that straightaway is some 6 lanes wide. Field pretty well strung out back to about the 5th or 6th spot. That's Ricky Rutt's Ford to the inside. Up ahead of him, everybody's single file.
Looks like Benny Parsons taking his time trying to stay single file about 3 or 4 car lengths back from Tim Richmond. There's the front 3 cars, Bodine, Richmond, and Parsons, as Bodine now trying to pull away a little bit from his teammate Tim Richmond.
And Parsons pulling right up to the bumper of Richmond's second place car. Benny was on the outside on the initial start, and that's not the best way to get into turn 1. So he had to give way, had hoped to get in line behind Bodine, but Richmond was there.
Benny Parsons won here at Pocono back in 1977. It was a long time since he's tasted victory lane here in the Pocono Mountains. But now Parsons is eager to get back to the front.
They're headed for turn 3, and Bonnet in car number 12 tries to dip the nose underneath Tim Richmond. Nothing doing there. They'll come off turn 3. Bodine the race leader. Parsons now second. Tim Richmond in third. And still some good side-by-side racing back through the top 10.
They will fan out some 3 and 4 wide on this 7/10 of a mile straightaway, the longest straightaway on the Winston Cup Tour, even longer than Talladega, Alabama. They will come charging maybe 170, 80 miles an hour to turn 1. Benny Parsons now trying to hold off Tim Richmond as they're battling back in the pack.
There's Richard Petty in 43 with Bobby Allison and Harry Gant scrambling for a piece of real estate, and now you're with the race leader, Jeff Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Until 1986, Pocono was as close as the Winston Cup Tour came to his home in Chemung, New York. This year they'll attack the road course at Watkins Glen, and it'll be quite a homecoming for Bodine and his many fans. They had a big fan club meeting last night here at Pocono to honor their driver, who had responded by giving his fans something to cheer about, the pole position.
Although Jeff Bodine has never won here at Pocono, he's had 2 fourth-place finishes. It's his best finish ever in both events last year. He won 2 modified events here at Pocono in years back.
Ricky Rutt on the right side of your screen working his way up down the straightaway. He has Dale Earnhardt in his draft. Earnhardt, the Winston Cup point leader. Oh, Earnhardt gets into the back of Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet's going for a ride. Slides up the racetrack, and his teammate Darrell Waltrip piles in. And quickly, both of Junior Johnson's cars have suffered heavy damage down in turn 1.
Neil Bonnet's car now sits crippled on the outside of the track down in turn 1. The front end heavily damaged. Bonnet now trying to get the car rolled down off the banking. It looked like possibly Waltrip was going to try to avoid him on the outside, but Bonnet's car came up across the track and tagged Waltrip.
We'll get a chance to see it in replay as Bonnet drives away. Now Waltrip is already halfway around the track. Hard to tell if there was contact between Earnhardt and Bonnet, but Bonnet and his teammate definitely get together. Neil Bonnet's made his way to pit road.
Neil Bonnet's car is really bent up. The left front quarter is badly damaged on this automobile. They've got big trouble here. They have not had a good time at Pocono. In fact, they haven't had a good time all year. Just yesterday in the very last practice, this team had the rear end split in half on them on the very last lap. I've never seen that happen to anybody, but doesn't matter what's going on. It seems as if this year is not Neil Bonnet's year.
Jerry, that's a bad way to get your race started.
It really is. The Budweiser Chevrolet Monte Carlo shortened by some 6 or 8 inches up front.
Here is Darrell Waltrip on pit road, and Dick Berggren has moved his way down to the pit of the other Junior Johnson car.
This is Darrell Waltrip's second pit stop for this incident. They're taking the hood off. They do have another radiator here ready to go in, and oh, there is significant damage inside under the hood area of the automobile. Bracketry that holds the radiator is pushed back. The radiator is pushed back. This is not the kind of break Darrell Waltrip wanted or needed for sure. Team car Neil Bonnet still sitting on pit road behind him. They are working, trying to get that automobile together to rejoin the race. Waltrip sits here with his engine silent as the crew goes to work.
Waltrip trying to defend his Winston Cup championship of a year ago, not having much luck of it here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. We're under the first caution of the day as the Pontiac safety car leads the field around. Getting set for the restart, 8 laps into the Miller High Life 500. Jeff Bodine, the race leader, Benny Parsons, Tim Richmond, just the way they started, then Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd's Ford. Green flag is back on, and Bodine leads the charge down this mammoth straightaway to turn 1, and quickly the field fans out 3 wide behind him.
You know, we spoke with Bodine earlier in the day, and he said, you know, I led so many laps here last year. I led 154 laps, and, you know, I didn't learn my lesson. I didn't win here. I think the key probably is not to lead early, is to stay back and conserve the car, but that's not what he's doing right now.
Well, that's fine to say in conversation, but when the green flag drops, all that stuff stops. And there is Bodine out in front of the field by about 5 car lengths over Benny Parsons. They're up in turn number 2, the tunnel turn, over the tunnel that leads to the infield. Parsons is second, and he has some breathing room on Tim Richmond. Then Terry Labonte back there battling in a pack of cars, trying to hold on to his 4th spot. There's Dale Earnhardt in car number 3. The blue and yellow Wrangler Chevrolet has moved past Labonte. Labonte now trying to hold off Ron Bouchard, who, like Bodine, calls Pocono his home racetrack. Bouchard from Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
You know, Labonte racing here on sheer courage at Pocono. A week ago at Riverside, he hit the wall a ton with a couple of laps to go. Totally destroyed his Oldsmobile. He was extremely sore, had to be helped in and out of the race car here just to qualify.
Watching the race leaders out of 1. Bodine on the left of your screen, Parsons on the right. You'll hear of 2 Parsons today. Benny's younger brother Phil is in the race. Darrell Waltrip's younger brother Mike is in the race, contending for rookie honors. There's a fast pack with Cale Yarborough's Ford, Morgan Shepherd's Buick, and Richard Petty's Pontiac on the right side of your screen. As they head over the tunnel, and they'll head for turn number 3. They're chasing Labonte. And Shepherd makes the move on the inside of Cale Yarborough and makes it work on the shortest straightaway of this track, heading for the flat turn number 3 that leads onto the front straightaway.
Morgan Shepherd picked up his first win in a long time this year in that Race Hill Farms Jack Beebe car down in Atlanta. He won the Motorcraft 500, and that's Beebe's first win since back in 1981 when he won with Ronnie Bouchard in the car.
Tim Richmond coming from the far right, the inside of the front straightaway to take second away from Parsons. Ricky Rudd is there, the red and white Ford, number 15. Behind them is Earnhardt, and they're on the Long Pond straightaway headed for turn 2. Bodine is all by himself at this point. Rudd, very, very close racing.
Ricky Rudd back trying to make his move, and a good run this year for Rudd. They've already won 1 time, and the Bud Moore cars getting stronger and stronger every week after week.
Ricky going into turn number 2, got under Parsons' trouble as Shepherd and Labonte do a pirouette. Missing them just on the inside of the track was Rusty Wallace, and 3 cars lay littered in the grass, and we'll have the caution flag. Shepherd backs up his Buick, and Rusty Wallace pulls away. Now Labonte gets restarted.
All 3 cars moving again now. Whoa, Labonte and Shepherd almost tag again under caution, as now Morgan Shepherd and Labonte say, no, your turn, my turn, now it's your turn again.
Tough spot on this racetrack is that tunnel turn, and obviously, as Richard Petty pointed out top of the show, if you set up for turn 1 or turn 3, you've really got to tiptoe through turn number 2. Let's go to Dick Berggren on pit road.
Now, pit road is a very busy place right now as a result of that Morgan Shepherd incident. We're watching Bobby Allison. This is a routine pit stop for this team. They're taking on 4 tires, as has been the case with the majority of competitors. And Terry Labonte just came by here with a lot of smoke streaming from the right side of his car.
And no surprise. Let's take another look at it.
You see him coming out of turn 2 there. They're getting together, and Morgan Shepherd is on the outside. The yellow-white car with the blue 47. Kel Yarborough slides by. Rusty Wallace almost clears it. He gets in the grass and gets sideways, and Labonte and Shepherd and Wallace go sliding broadside some 200 feet.
I didn't see Cale on the first go-around, but he just missed being part of that accident. Let's go back to the pit lane and Dick.
Here comes Terry Labonte in the right rear corner of that car. Appears to have sustained some damage. Labonte has right in front of him at the moment Darrell Waltrip. There are 2, 4, 6, 7 crew members working on Waltrip's car trying to take care of it. Steve Emile, the right front tire man on Labonte's team, lost the right front tire, rolled across the track. He's got it now. What a wild start to this race this afternoon at Pocono.
True, 2 caution flags in 10 laps. Labonte had no choice but to spin his car when Shepherd got broadside right in front of him.
This has not been Terry Labonte's racetrack. He finished 26th and 28th in 2 starts here last year, and his best finish so far has been a 3rd twice at Pocono.
Here's our SETN expert analyst Benny Parsons in the pit lane with the Copenhagen Oldsmobile.
You know, Benny may have a shot at winning today. He had a good qualifying run, broke the track record on his first lap. He tapped the wall in turn 2 in his second lap, where he may have sat on the pole.
Crew going around, and they'll give Parsons 4 fresh tires as Terry Labonte is back in 1 pit down the road, trying to get that crash damage repaired. Virtually all the leaders have been in the pit lane during this caution. Benny got a chance to lead a lap while we've
got trouble up in turn 3. Looks like Darrell Waltrip's Budweiser Chevrolet has given up the ghost. Plume of smoke boiling from beneath the hood of that car as it rolls to a halt at the very head end of pit road. Can Waltrip creep it down pit road? Looks like he may not be able to make it, Mike.
Well, Darrell has had his share of trouble today. He was involved in that first caution flag with Neil Bonnet down in turn number 1. And you can see the tape where the crash damage was repaired, but evidently they have other problems.
Well, they must have. They have the record crew out there now to give that car an assist back toward the pits. You got to think Junior Johnson and the crew down there, Jeff Hammond, have to be awfully anxious. Waltrip had climbed to within 119 points of Dale Earnhardt by virtue of his win last week at Riverside. This will cost him a lot of valuable time and some points.
And coming up in just a couple of weeks, the Winston mid-season payoff. That's a big pot of gold for these drivers. Waltrip had hoped to improve his point standings. That may be tough to do today. We are under the caution for the 2nd time, and as the light goes out on the safety car, we'll go back to racing next time around this 2.5-mile Trioval Speedway. There's a look at Junior Johnson, the car owner for Waltrip, as the Chevrolet is pushed back toward the garage area. And Waltrip is the first car out of today's race.
That will cost him dearly in that point battle.
We're getting set for the restart as Morgan Shepherd is lined up alongside Tim Richmond. We'll be back with the drop of the green flag. It has been a short day for the defending Winston Cup champion. Darrell Waltrip has climbed out of his car. Dick Berggren is there.
Darrell, tough day. Looks like the motor is gone.
Yeah, the wreck, I guess, had something to do with it. I don't know. Looked like it. Neil and Dale got together down there and spun Neil, and I got lost in the smoke, and I couldn't see where anybody was, and I ended up hitting Neil pretty good. And then I come in here, and we were working on it. I thought we were going to be all right, some laps down, but the engine blew, so I don't know what's going on.
There's a lot of oil, possibly an oil line let go in the incident.
Not an oil line, no. A little more severe than that. If the oil line, we'd fix it.
Now the race goes on, but without Darrell Waltrip.
And the race is a hot one. Dale Earnhardt, you see, leading a fast pack of cars, and Bodine, the early race leader, well behind him. Tim Richmond is the pace setter at Red Folger's Chevrolet. Then Earnhardt, then Morgan Shepherd's car. But Shepherd is a lap down after the incident. He's the yellow car, the right side of your screen. So that puts Earnhardt in the 2nd spot. Looks like Harry Gant chasing with him.
Yeah, Morgan Shepherd will not stay a lap down for long. He will try to get that lap back if at all possible.
Check that. Rather than Gant, that is Benny Parsons. Still running right up there. Parsons is the 3rd place car. On the right side of your screen, Bodine and Earnhardt are going at it for position. Heading up that Long Pond straightaway to the tunnel turn. There is Gant. He is racing against Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd's 47 car a lap down after the spin at turn 2 that brought out this second caution flag.
And the Braceville Farms Buick that Morgan Shepherd is driving has been awfully strong all year long. Of course, they won in Atlanta, we said earlier, but they were involved in an early spin. They lost that lap, and Shepherd is trying to see what he really can get that lap back. We may see what Morgan Shepherd has right now early on.
To get that lap back, though, he'll have to catch Tim Richmond. And Richmond's waiting for no one. Here's Earnhardt on pit road. This is unexpected.
The Wrangler crew will go to work on the car. They look like they will add a little bit of fuel in the car and change left side tires. Kirk Shelberty, Richard Childress and the crew will make a routine pit stop as the Wrangler Chevy now coming in unscheduled for that quick stop, possibly maybe a tire going down.
Well, it's a routine stop, but it's definitely not a scheduled one, as Earnhardt was not expected. The race goes on without him. He is back on the course as Tim Richmond comes off turn 2 and heads up for 3. There's Harry Gant now battling Morgan Shepherd. And Shepherd will slide a bit back in the field as Gant sets off in pursuit of the race leader. Gant at 33, the Skoll Chevrolet, is the second place car. Now we're back at 5th spot with Ricky Rudd. Car number 15, the Ford. Bobby Allison's Buick.
Trouble in turn 1. Chet Phillips sliding broadside, gets the car down inside the grass, splashes his way through the infield apron at turn 1, and the rookie driver from Ozona, Texas, brings the car to a halt down on the inside track apron in the grass. Caution on the speedway.
Well, Phillip got a free car wash out of that one. The rookie driver, former IndyCar racer, spinning his wheels through the mud, and he'll get back up on the racetrack. You see all that standing water from heavy rains here yesterday, and there's a good chance of showers this afternoon with very threatening skies. So the pace car gets to work out, and so too do the crews, as virtually everyone is back on pit road. There's Bodine, Earnhardt, and Richmond, the pace setters, and in Terry Labonte's pit, you saw the pit board. Here's Dick Berggren with Richmond's pit.
Here's Tim Richmond for his pit stop. Allison, Rudd, and Benny Parsons have already completed their pit stops. They were in a position such that when the yellow flag came out, they darted right in the pits, and before Bodine or before Richmond or any of the other leaders got here, their service was already complete. Most of the teams are taking on 4 tires, as is the case with Tim Richmond.
Richmond getting that last shot of gas as they affix the left side tires. Harry Hyde and the crew, and away goes Tim Richmond.
Boy, a mango looking Neil Bonnet's Budweiser Chevrolet, the front end bandaged up. You see Tim Brewer and the crew working over that car. They will have a long afternoon there. That car not very aerodynamic, but they'll try to finish.
Aerodynamic? That thing's a pig to try to get down the straightaway here and try to run around this race course with everything knocked off the front end of it. Here's a look at the packed house here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Record crowd for a stock car race at this speedway, and we're back under green. Ricky Rudd is in the front of the pack. That's his Ford, just ahead of Morgan Shepherd's Buick, and that yellow car of Shepherd is still trying to get back on the lead lap.
And one car you pick out in the back of the pack is that yellow nose cone of Dale Earnhardt, moving his way to the inside. Earnhardt back in traffic will be working his way back toward the front.
Well, Shepherd got kicked toward the middle of the field. There is Morgan at 47. Racehill Farm Buick, an unsponsored car. Owner Jack Beebe and his wife Chris foot all the bills. Got a very happy win up at Atlanta, Georgia back in March. Rudd is the race leader. The Buckmore prepared Ford raced out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Rudd is from Chesapeake, Virginia. Richmond to the inside of Bobby Allison this time for position, and they almost touch getting up into the corner.
Boy, Tim Richmond is just so strong. He just pushes the button on that Folgers car and moves toward the inside. He really makes a move. He'll be making a move on Ricky Rudd here down the front straightaway. It's Rudd now worms his way to the inside, trying to break that draft.
It's like a giant snake uncoiling as they come down the straightaway. Richmond goes for the lead. He'll get it at turn 1, ducking underneath Ricky Rudd's Ford. That's Richmond in 25, Rudd in 15, and Bobby Allison in 22. It's Chevrolet, Ford, Buick, and Chevrolet at the front of the pack, and Allison wants to change the order of things.
And Bobby Allison will try to make a move on the inside. He has Ricky Rudd, and he will bring Jeff Bodine along with him, so they will shuffle Rudd back in the 4th spot.
Bodine takes advantage of the draft provided by Allison. Up and over the tunnel turn, he takes the 3rd spot. Rudd is now 4th. And Bodine wants to go right back to the front. He has the inside on Allison heading for turn 3. Shepard in 47 comes up the inside. Almost gets into the back of Allison's Buick.
All that shuffling back in the pack, though, has given Tim Richmond the opportunity he wanted. He is now moving away, starting to flex the muscle. As Richmond sees him going 3 and 4 wide down that front straightaway, he knows he has a shot to maybe pull 4 or 5 car lengths on Jeff Bodine.
All that 3-wide racing allows the leaders to get away just a bit. Rusty Wallace gets to the inside of Morgan Shepard. He is also a lap down after the spin and trying to claw his way back toward the front. Or check that. Wallace is being shown by scoring as on the lead lap. He got away from that incident before the caution flag got out, so he was not overlapped. He'll be the 5th place car. Bobby Allison leading that pack up and over the tunnel at turn 2. Tim Richmond continues to lead at Pocono, Pennsylvania, with Jeff Bodine in the runner-up spot.
Harry Gant slowly came to a stop here on pit road. Motion to remember to get inside the car where they're now working on the shifter. Gant being very vocal about what's wrong. Oh, this is a disappointment. They're pushing Gant, pushing the car, trying to get it started.
Trouble up in turn 3 as Richard Petty and Buddy Boys have clanged together. Petty's Pontiac heads off toward pit road after that altercation. Boy's car continues down the racetrack.
Richard could just not buy any luck this year at all. He has had trouble all year long. Now back with the family team and Dale Inman, his crew chief, as the STP crew will have their work cut out for him on pit road. A mangled STP Pontiac. Heavy damage on the left side as Dale Inman now pouring over the work in the left rear of the car. It's peeled back. Petty now moving away off pit road.
Well, that will bring the caution out for yet another time. This will be the 4th one of the afternoon. And the skies behind us look very threatening. NASCAR's weather radar says there is some shower activity heading into the area. We may very likely get some rain. So this pit stop under caution and the next 10 or so laps may be critical to the outcome of this race.
A lot of crews probably realize the skies are threatening and it could be rain any minute now here at Pocono, so if they have a set of tires saved, they may want to put them on now and let their driver make a run toward the front. They don't know what may happen here at the halfway point if the skies open up.
There is Buddy Boys, and you can see the results of his running into the back of Richard Petty. Richard's son Kyle is in this race, so is Buddy's son Trevor Boys is a regular on the Winston Cup circuit, though not competing here today.
Boy, a crowd has jammed their way into Pocono Raceway for what should be an exciting afternoon. Has already had tremendous amount of excitement, and we're not even halfway home.
Well, I hope there's some umbrellas or at least some ponchos up in that bunch, because look at the sky, they may well need them. The leader is Pancho Carter, the IndyCar driver who is running Roger Hamby's car in selected races here this year. That K-Care wins Oldsmobile is at the front of the pack on the left side of your screen. Here comes Gant up the inside in 33, and Morgan Shepard is with him. So is Bodine. Bodine jumps to the inside, and he'll get second spot at turn 1.
Well, Harry Gant made that unscheduled stop a little bit earlier. He is not the leader, but he is trying to get those laps back he lost in the pits. But here is Bodine, Jeff Bodine, who led early on, now making a move on the outside of Gant. He will try to crank Harry Gant back another lap down.
So Gant will now be a lap down by just a car length. Bodine is in front. Tim Richmond, the second place car. He has freed himself from Morgan Shepard's yellow automobile. So 1-2 again, the Rick Hendrick cars of Bodine and Tim Richmond, 5 and 25.
You know, earlier on, Gant and Shepard, both those cars, which are now being shown laps down, or at least Shepard is 1 lap down, were pretty strong cars. And now, apparently, those cars now being shown back in the pack as Bodine continuing to pull away.
Way on the right, Cale Yarborough and Bill Elliott hook up their Fords in a draft. There's Ricky Rudd's red and white Ford poking out on the inside and trying to sneak down and underneath. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's in Tim Richmond's pit.
Harry Hyde, are you playing this race for the weather right now?
Yeah, we sure are, but we got that Levi Garrett machine sitting up there, and I don't know if that Folgers coffee machine can get him or not. But we're going to try to be in the lead if we can when this weather starts, and we're expecting it in the next 10 to 12 laps. So if we got enough, yes, we're going to play it according to the weather. We're going to try to be in the lead.
Have you told Tim to give it all he's got?
I think all 3 of those cars up front are giving it everything they got, yeah, right now, because they all know the rain's on the way.
Okay, Harry Hyde, crew chief for Tim Richmond.
Well, even as he speaks, it begins to sprinkle here in the mountains of eastern Pennsylvania, and from the looks of those dark clouds, a heavy rainstorm appears imminent. There is rain on the windshields of the cars as they come past, and on the glass of the announce booth, there is Bodine and Richmond, and Earnhardt is there, and NASCAR has thrown the caution. They'll be racing back to the yellow flag.
And as they do, here comes Earnhardt on the inside. He and Richmond now trying to find their way back toward the stripe as rain continues to fall and gets heavier by the minute.
And Earnhardt gets that second spot behind Bodine, displacing Richmond to third, and that long lens shot from turn one makes it appear a little darker and the rain a little heavier than it really is right now, but it is beginning to come down and increase. NASCAR will put these cars, or keep them under caution, and roll them around behind the safety car. What we had hoped would be a summer shower here in eastern Pennsylvania has turned into a deluge. I wouldn't be surprised if they're rebuilding Noah's Ark down in the garage area. There's the way they cross the start-finish line under caution at lap 95. The cars have run around under the caution to reach the 100 lap mark, at which time the race could be declared official if we're not able to get back under the green flag this afternoon. You can see those just aren't rooster tails being thrown up by those tires. The front spoilers of these cars are pushing water down the straightaway like they were snow plows.
Now these cars creeping along, they do not have any kind of tread on the tires. They're purely slick tires, so they have really no adherence at all to the asphalt. They're just creeping along. Harold Kinder seeking shelter down underneath the flag stand with one arm over waving the yellow flag.
Harold Lightning Rod Kinder, the chief starter of NASCAR.
Okay. Well, you might think that the crew chief of the leading car would be tense at a moment like this as we await the rain out, but Gary Nelson has snuck into one of the lounges and he's going to have a little lunch. But Gary, we're wondering what's the story with the smoke coming off Jeff Bodine's car?
Well, they got real close there a couple laps before that caution came out. Jeff and Tim and Dale Earnhardt were racing. All of them, I'm sure Harry Hyde and Richard Childress were telling their drivers, just like I was, that you got to be in front, because if this thing rains out, lap 200 is a halfway point. So they were all trying for the lead. Tim slid up a little high when he was passing that lap car. Jeff dove in between there, and then the hole kind of closed up. Jeff said he got hit on both sides, so the left front tire started rubbing the fender, and just then it started to rain, and we stayed out there. We're the leader at the moment. If it clears up and we have to restart, we plan on changing 4 tires anyway, and we'll take a hammer and knock that fender back out.
How would this rainstorm affect the performance of the car, Gary?
I think as things cool down, a car that's a little bit on the loose side tends to get faster. The biggest thing the rainstorm will do is clear the track, clean the debris off the track, and cool the surface down. So our car has been slightly loose since the beginning of the race, and so I'm not real concerned about the race restarting, because I feel the temperature of the track is coming to us anyway.
Well, I think we'll let the crew chief of the leader finish his lunch now, and we'll go back and find out and we'll go find out about some more teams. Mike?
Well, some drivers have had definite problems under the caution, as now the race has been red flagged. Bobby Allison spun and tapped the wall up in turn number 2. And these cars don't have windshield wipers or defrosters, such that one driver even dropped his window net and was leaning out the windshield trying to see, and getting pelted in the face by the driving rain.
And you heard Gary Nelson mention there are some problems on their car, and under NASCAR rules, you cannot touch the cars under a red flag condition.
You saw the kids playing in the water where there was no water at all half an hour ago. Track trucks and safety crews and the like are out running around in the rain trying to dispel some of that water, but for now we have a break in the weather, not the kind we were looking for. You may find this hard to believe, and I assure you it is not through the magic of television, but as hard as it rained earlier, the sun has come out and has virtually dried this racetrack, and we will be able to get this race restarted, something nobody would have believed when the rains first started coming down and the event was stopped at lap 100 at the midpoint.
Well, nothing is nicer than a nice mountain shower and the fresh air smelling after the shower. The drivers have been rested. It's sort of like a halftime or a timeout. They're ready to go back to action.
But you don't always get a shower at halftime, and some of the people in that grandstand and on the flag stand are going to take a little while longer to dry out. But you can see the light gray surface of the racetrack. It is virtually dry, and we're going to go back to racing under the green flag momentarily. Under the red flag, no work was allowed to be done on the cars. So many of the teams will take this opportunity, as Gary Nelson pointed out earlier, to come to pit road and make some changes before the green is displayed once again. The grandstand is once again filled with people. We're just about set to go back to racing, and blue sky off to the west, something I thought we'd never see again today.
And we'll watch for a number of cars that make their way on the pit road now as Harold Kinder is giving the 1 lap to go sign. Next time by, they'll be back under green.
And here's Dick Berggren in the pit lane.
Well, here comes a parade down pit road. Virtually every one of the contending cars is on its way down pit road right now for service. And here comes the leader, Jeff Bodine. He'll take on a set of tires and a full tank of fuel before going back out again for a green flag situation. Bodine in the pits as well as just about everybody else. This is routine, it's scheduled, it's required. NASCAR did not allow these men to work on the cars during the red flag situation, other than to change the air filter. So now they're changing the tires, taking on the fuel, and very shortly we should have a green flag here at Pocono.
It's rare to see that, but NASCAR suggested and allowed all the teams to change the air filter element because it was pouring down rain so hard that chances are there was more water than air being scooped in as the cars ran some 5 laps under the caution flag in the pouring rain.
You might note the left side of Bodine's car, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, looked to be heavily damaged. Not damaged, but where he'd been brushing and been beating and banging in the corners. It's not all clean action on a track like Pocono. They run 170 miles an hour, but they get at it like short track drivers in the corners.
Well, here we are, top of a new page. The sun is shining. We're at the halfway point, and we're set to go back to racing. They're lined up the way they came off of pit road, and still Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd will be lined up on the inside trying to get back on the lead lap. Up toward the front of the field, drivers including Bodine, Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Tim Richmond, Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Cale Yarborough, along with Joe Ruttman, Bobby Hillen, and Phil Parsons. We're back under green. Kyle Petty is the race leader. The Wood brothers got quick service on their 711 Ford and put Kyle at the front of the field. He's on the left side of your screen as they stream back into turn number 1.
Bobby Allison, one of the cars up toward the front, and Allison's car was damaged during that rain delay. So those last few laps, Allison got into contact with the wall. He had some damage on the right side of his car.
Morgan Shepherd gets underneath Allison, and Shepherd's Buick will move up a notch. Jeff Bodine, car number 5, is right there, and here's Tim Richmond.
Well, Morgan Shepherd's car owner, Jack Beebe, has to be excited in the pits. He knows this young driver has just gotten that car back on the lead lap if he can hold off Jeff Bodine.
Bodine trails Shepherd down into the corner once again. Richmond moving up. 3-car battle right behind the race leader. Off turn number 3, back around to the start-finish line once again. The field fairly well strung out, running single file. There's trouble up in 3. One car has hit the wall.
Looks like Tommy Ellis, a former Sportsman national champion, has tagged it. His car is stalled down the middle of turn 3 as traffic now coming down, and they get the car fired. He will move it down toward pit road to see if they can repair the damage on the Friedlander Chevrolet.
There you see that Morgan Shepherd has beaten Jeff Bodine and Tim Richmond back to the caution flag, so the safety car will pick them up. And Shepherd gets the free pass and comes all the way around. He's now back on the lead lap. So heads up racing by Morgan Shepherd, the driver of the Race Hill Farm Buick.
Tommy Ellis's car now in the pits. Doesn't appear to be too heavily damaged. They're looking over the car and haven't done a lot of work on the machine.
It will give the leaders an opportunity to pit under the caution once again. This is the 7th caution flag of the day. And so far, none of the leaders have had to make a scheduled green flag pit stop. There's one car smoking as it heads for pit road.
That's Randy LaJoy, the Norwalk, Connecticut driver. He brings his Chevrolet down pit road, and Bob Johnson and the crew will be waiting to work on that car. They've only had a few starts this year. They were going to start the car at Daytona, but he didn't get the start. Morgan Shepherd drove the car in the 500.
After Shepherd wrecked his own car in a practice accident a couple of days before. Joe Ruttman will be the race leader when we get back to the green. Let's quickly While we have a moment to review the cars out of the race, Darrell Waltrip went out with engine trouble, first car to depart. His younger brother Michael was out shortly thereafter with a motor problem. Buddy Boys, after the crash with Richard Petty, retired with engine trouble. Rick Newsom lost the oil pressure. Terry Labonte and Buddy Baker with engines. Bobby Gerhart, the West Lebanon, Pennsylvania driver, ignition trouble on his Chevrolet. Benny Parsons Olds is out of the race, also with an engine problem. We are back under green, and the Quaker State Buick of Joe Ruttman leads the field. That car is bright green with white numerals, but there on the left rear quarter panel has one little red dot. Car owner Kenny Bernstein, world-class drag racer, has always owned a red race car, and he wanted a spot of red paint on this one. Ricky Rudd, coming out of turn one, looked like he was going to obliterate that spot of red paint, but he managed to duck to the inside and take away the lead. He won't hold it for long.
No, here comes Dale Earnhardt, the Wrangler Chevrolet. He moves to the inside. He will nudge Rudd up high in turn two as those cars now battling, but Earnhardt has the position.
Rusty Wallace puts his Pontiac in there for the third spot. Allison is behind them. So three new faces at the front of the field with Earnhardt, Rudd, and Wallace.
Rusty Wallace awfully confident earlier in the day that he could win here at Pocono. This is the car that Tim Richmond picked up his first win ever in Winston Cup competition here at Pocono back in '83. The Blue Max ride that Rusty Wallace now rides in third spot in.
Earnhardt had ducked to the inside and now back up on the outside of the racetrack trying to break the draft. Here comes Rudd. The Ford breaks out of the pack and challenges for the lead. Turn one, a lot of smoke as one car goes sliding off into the grass. That's Eddie Bierswall, and boy, he just picks up speed as he hits that wet grass, slides right up on the pavement, and cracks the wall down in turn one.
Well, it's like being on ice as Bierswall has taken the Elmo Langley car hard on the outside, the metal retaining wall up in turn one, and damaged the front of that Ford Thunderbird. The San Antonio, Texas driver looks to be rolling. Now he comes to a halt just out of turn one.
He must have run over a piece of debris, Jerry, because a tire just exploded as he went down the front straightaway, starting that spin. Well, there's the piece of the wall that Eddie Bierswell tried to knock down in turn number one. There is Bierswell highlighted up near the top of your screen, and you may get a look and see that puff of smoke as that tire just hand grenaded due to a piece of debris or something that he may have run over on the racetrack, and away he goes.
You know, flying debris from the left front of that car. Watch him when he hits the grass here. The car just absolutely takes off like it's on roller skates. He comes through the water, and the car actually almost passes the cars on the racetrack. He spins it backwards, comes up across the track. Heavy traffic headed for him. He tags the wall, comes off the metal wall.
And look at the great job he does at controlling that car and keeping it straight, even though the front end is practically knocked off it. He knew there was a pack of traffic right on his tail. There goes Arrington around, Jerry Cranmer, and two other cars. Mike Joy with Jerry Punch and Dick Berggren at Pocono, Pennsylvania. We've had torrential rains here at the midpoint of this event, but back underway under sunny skies. And now that the debris is cleaned up from that caution flag in turn number one, Bierswell is out of the race. We're set to resume. Pace car heads off of turn number three and down pit road.
They stack up too wide down that front straightaway, 7/10 of a mile, and Dale Earnhardt will lead the charge. But up on the outside, here comes Tim Richmond again. Richmond has been so strong all afternoon. They fan him out now, 3 wide in turn one.
Earnhardt has the lead in the corner. He's in the number 3 Chevrolet. Richmond riding second in car number 25. Bobby Allison is there with the race leaders, but he is a lap behind. His young teammate Bobby Hillen, though, is racing for that third spot and passes Allison. Up front, battle for the lead.
Tim Richmond moves to the inside. His Lake Norman neighbor Dale Earnhardt gives him room out of turn two, and Richmond takes the advantage. But Earnhardt now will sneak back to the inside, and Richmond tries to hold him off, but Earnhardt will slide by.
Well, we'll see which of these cars is stronger at turn 3. Earnhardt had the advantage at turn 1. Richmond comes up, got very close to Earnhardt right there, and there will be no pass coming off the corner.
And what a job by Bobby Hillen, the young 22-year-old driver who just turned 22 this week, celebrated a birthday out of Texas, now running third in the Miller Buick. Hillen trying to reel in those two cars as now Richmond makes a move on Earnhardt at turn 1.
Great racing, swapping the lead back and forth here. Earnhardt goes right back to the bottom of the racetrack in hot pursuit. Richmond is the race leader, and all that battling has allowed car number 8, Bobby Hillen, to close right up. He's the third-place car.
Bobby Hillen's had 2 great finishes thus far in '86. He finished 4th both at Daytona and Talladega. He would like to finish better than 4th. In fact, he would like to win the Miller High Life 500 today.
2 leaders running off from Hillen, though, at this juncture. It appears that Richmond has a little more room at the end of the straightaway, while Earnhardt is getting off turn 3 with a little more strength. Watching Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Bodine battle for position, trying to catch back up to the lead pack.
Well, Harry Hyde's car looks like it's running very well. Are you going to tell Tim to conserve at the end of the race?
Well, you know, we're hoping right now we can make it on fuel, and that's our biggest worry. Everything else is going real good.
How tight is the fuel? How tight is the fuel situation?
Within a lap or 2.
Close fuel on Tim Richmond. Everything else all right?
Well, our radio's stuck wide open, and all I can hear is the motor running. I can't hear nothing else.
How about Tim? Is it bothering him?
No, we've got our signal straightened out now, and we're in pretty good shape.
That's the story from Harry Hyde. He's Tim Richmond's crew chief.
Well, if Harry stops hearing the motor running, then he's got a problem.
You know, he really does, but this is one of the teams that doesn't use a fuel flow meter. Harry Hyde doesn't believe in that kind of technology, so they pretty well have to figure and calculate based on laps how much fuel they've consumed.
Well, if they have it only figured within a lap or 2, as Harry Hyde pointed out, that is going to be close as this race goes into the closing stages. Here you see Morgan Shepherd in 47 and Jeff Bodine in number 5. And the word from pit road is that Jack Beebe has put his driver on an incentive plan. He called Shepherd on the two-way radio and said, "I'll give you $100 if you pass Bodine." So Morgan did.
I believe Morgan would do it too. Morgan likes those kind of incentives. He's been lean for a number of years, and he's hungry to get back up front and win more Winston Cup races.
Had a look there at J.D. McDuffie, the veteran campaigner out of Sanford, North Carolina. Still rolling here in his Rumpel Furniture Pontiac, and looking for a top 20 finish here today. These lead cars all made their last pit stop under the green flag, the only one of the day that's been a green flag stop, and they happened on different laps, so it's going to be questionable which of these cars can go the distance. You've heard from Harry Hyde that they may be able to make it without stopping. Now let's go to the pits of the Dale Earnhardt car. Here's Dick Berger with car owner Richard Childress.
Well, Richard Childress, can Dale Earnhardt make a run on the leader?
Well, I don't know about right now. You know, Richmond's running awful good, so we're just going to have to wait and see when it comes toward the end.
How is your fuel situation? Can you go all the way?
Yeah, we can go all the way.
Well, that was said confidently enough.
Well, it's a team that's run out of gas 3 times this year at Daytona, Rockingham, and Atlanta. But I believe they've really got a better calculator now. They're watching the fuel awfully close.
Tim Richmond in the Chevrolet laps past what's left of Neil Bonnet's car. There's Morgan Shepherd and Jeff Bodine. Shepherd getting ready to pocket that $100 from car owner Jack Beebe. But they continue to battle for 3rd position. Richmond's the race leader. Earnhardt is 2nd. Shepherd is 3rd. 4th, Bodine. 5th keeps swapping back and forth between the Fords of Yarborough and Rudd. Bill Elliott is 7th. Then Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty. Bobby Hillen has fallen a lap off the pace, along with Jody Ridley and Ron Bouchard. Bobby Allison, Dave Marcus, and Tommy Ellis are 2 laps down. We're in the closing stages of the Miller 500 in Pocono, Pennsylvania. Tim Richmond, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd set to slug it out. Cale Yarborough and Ricky Rudd still battling for position. Now Bill Elliott has moved up and joined them.
Morgan Shepherd leading Jeff Bodine. Those 2 cars trying to close in the lead twosome of Richmond and Earnhardt. Those cars have been caught back in traffic now. Making their way is Bodine around the Jody Ridley car.
Ridley in the Nationwide Auto Parts machine has just gone 2 laps down to the race leader. And we'll look at Dale Earnhardt, who is in hot pursuit of race leader Tim Richmond. Here's Earnhardt coming up on a very mangled Chevrolet of Neil Bonnet. Bonnet involved in that crash back at the start of the race with teammate Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip went to the garage early. Bonnet continues.
Earnhardt, the Winston Cup point leader, already has 3 wins to his credit this year. And if he can just finish, he will be a winner overall today because he'll stretch his point lead.
With Waltrip in the garage as the 40th finisher, that will benefit Earnhardt's hope for a 2nd Winston Cup driving title.
Well, Jack Beebe, Morgan Shepherd has just passed Jeff Bodine. You're having an awfully good run today.
Jack, that just cost me $100. I told him he got a $100 bonus if he passed him, and I'm going to give him 2 when he passes Earnhardt.
Do you think he can pass Earnhardt? Can he pass Earnhardt?
Yeah, he can pass Earnhardt. I don't think we can catch Richmond. Richmond is about 6 seconds ahead of us.
Have you got enough fuel to go all the way, Jack?
Oh, yeah, we can make it all the way, and I was checking to see if Richmond can. I think he can, too.
There's Jack Beebe, confident car owner. He says he can get one more before this thing is done.
He sounds surer of Richmond's gas mileage than Tim Richmond's crew chief, Harry Hyde. There is Dale Earnhardt and race leader Tim Richmond.
Tim Richmond has not won on the Winston Cup Tour since April of 1984 when he won at North Wilkesboro on a half-mile track back in the Blue Max car. That's 2 years ago, Richmond's last victory. The Raymond Beetle car. Now he's in the Rick Hendrick car, the Folgers car, with Harry Hyde, the veteran crew chief, behind pit wall.
10 laps to go for race leader Tim Richmond. Here's Dale Earnhardt. And as he crosses the start-finish stripe, you get an idea of the separation. Earnhardt likely now has pulled out all the stops trying to run down Richmond.
Well, Gary Nelson, with less than 20 laps remaining, I assume you've got the hammer down.
Well, we certainly do. We got behind when our radio went out after that rain shower. I wish we hadn't got that far back. We've been trying to make it up ever since. It'd be nice to get a caution and get some good tires on and race for the win.
Is the car not handling well now?
That's handling okay. He just had to really use up his tires to get back up to third. And right at the moment, wish we could just get some new tires on there, because I think we could go for the win then.
How about fuel? Can you make it?
Yeah, we can make it on the fuel.
Their radios were not the only things knocked out in the storm. 2/3 of the scoreboard system also fell victim to lightning in the rainstorm, and one of our SETN cameras as well.
Here's the battle tightening up again between Morgan Shepherd and Jeff Bodine. Shepherd knows he must keep Bodine behind him as we see Tim Richmond now moving around the Bobby Hillen car.
So Hillen a lap down. Nonetheless, will have a fine finish this afternoon. He is right now the 11th place machine.
Tim Richmond has to be concerned about the fuel mileage. You heard Harry Hyde tell Dick Berggren they can make it all the way. Richard Childress felt confident they could go all the way. But you know, there's no radio communications between Tim Richmond and Harry Hyde. They're having to use the hand signal, so Tim Richmond has to be concerned.
Harry has been on the pit road with the big pit signal board, moving it up and down for yes and back and forth for no. Apparently they can hear Richmond, but he cannot hear them. Tim Richmond, there's his mom, Evelyn, watching. Tim is drafting off anything that moves on that racetrack to conserve fuel. There he's behind Bobby Allison and ahead of Bobby Hillen. Probably he could easily pass Allison, but wants to stay in his draft and better his gas mileage.
Exactly. If he can ride Allison's draft up that back straightaway over the tunnel turn, he can conserve fuel. Now he has to pull the inside. Allison's car not going quite quick enough, and he probably can now see Earnhardt in his rearview mirror.
Dale Earnhardt trying to gain some ground on the race leader. We're in the last 10 laps here in eastern Pennsylvania. There is Earnhardt, winningest driver on the tour. He was Rookie of the Year in 1979, followed it up with a Winston Cup Championship in 1980. Since then, he's been trying to win another one. He and Carmen or Richard Childress right now have the hot hand. In every race this season, they have been a contender. No other team on the circuit can say that.
And Harold Kinder holds up the full hand. 5 laps to go.
Trouble in turn 1. That's Buddy Arrington's car from Martinsville, Virginia, that pirouettes to a stop down in turn 1. Arrington spins the wheels, gets it going again. Gets up on the racetrack. And, oh, Morgan Shepherd piles into Arrington. Harry Gant's car just obliterates the left side of Arrington's machine. And it looked like Jeff Bodine may have gotten a piece of that as well as Morgan Shepherd went by.
And the mangled Race Hill Farms Buick now. Morgan Shepherd sits on the outside of the track. Heavy damage on that car. Both the front and rear end are shoved in.
Here's the race back to the caution flag, and likely this will be for the win as Richmond takes the caution flag well ahead of Dale Earnhardt. A severe 3-car accident in turn number 1. It'll be very difficult to get that cleaned up.
And the panel sweatshirts efforts, the Ford Thunderbird for Buddy Arrington sits there on the apron in turn 1.
Earnhardt pulls up alongside Tim Richmond, but I'm sure both know that with 3 cars littering turn 1, it'll be nearly impossible to get this race back to green.
Here's Buddy Arrington's car spinning on the grass. Arrington gets the car refired, pulls it back, tries to get back up on the track apron. The car seems to stall a little bit. Now it digs up, but here's Morgan Shepherd. Contact, spins Arrington around, down on the lower side, and again, right in the driver's door. Heavy damage. Those 3 cars mangled that in turn 1.
All 3 drivers are still in the cars, and safety crews are being rushed to the scene. Morgan Shepherd will not collect that next $200 bonus from Jack Beebe this afternoon. And that car they had hoped to run at Michigan is apparently totaled.
And they have gotten Harry Gant out of the mangled car. His knees are a little bit wobbly. He's walking toward the safety vehicles as they are assisting Harry Gant. That violent crash that in turn 1.
Gant will have a ride to the infield care center to be checked out. There's Buddy Arrington climbing in on his own power. And the crews are attending to Morgan Shepherd as well. Harry wants to look around at the other cars, and apparently he's banged a knee.
Well, the fact that these drivers can walk away from a crash like that at probably 150 plus miles an hour speaks well for the way these cars are built.
White flag displayed with the caution. We will not get a restart. And Tim Richmond, should he have enough fuel in the tank of his Chevrolet, will come around to get the checkered flag.
And here are safety crews now lowering Morgan Shepherd down across the banking. They will have the ambulance there to take him to the infield care center. Shepherd there carefully, safety crew will put him on the backboard, the stretcher, and take him in to be checked out. What a good run this driver was having today, coming from a lap back, and looked like he may have had a top 5 finish, possibly even a 2nd or a 3rd.
Shepherd was in 3rd position at the time of the incident. That has destroyed 3 race cars down in turn 1 with less than a handful of laps remaining. On the final lap, Richmond and Earnhardt must be frustrated. He can't pass under the caution, and he'll have to come around to take the checkered flag, but 2nd place pays well, almost $30,000, and it will pay him a pile of Winston Cup points, 175 or so. So it will be a good day for Dale Earnhardt, a better day for Tim Richmond.
And Harold Kidner unfurls the checkered flag for Tim Richmond, and they're awfully happy in the Folgers pit.
Doug Rickard of the Neil Bonnet crew congratulating Cheech Gardy, former modified racer and now one of the tire changers on Richmond's car. As this race has concluded under the caution flag.
Well, Tim Richmond, who turned 31 years of age yesterday, had a birthday, and they had a big cake for him here, picks up a victory as a birthday present.
Tim Richmond has just won the 5th race of his 7-year Winston Cup stock car career. It's his 2nd victory here at Pocono. As Morgan Shepherd, Harry Gant, and Buddy Arrington are taken to the infield care center to be checked over following that grinding crash down in turn number 1. Richmond, Harry Hyde, and their team are already assembled in victory lane, and somewhere in there is Dick Berggren.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, where are we at? Okay.
Right over here. Tim Richmond obviously elated to be here on victory lane for the 2nd time at Pocono.
Yeah, it's great. Anywhere in victory lane's great, but you know, it's been such a long time for me. At those last 20 laps I was sweating. Well, I'm not sweating so much right now, but I was sweating bad in there.
Tell me, how about the fuel situation? Your crew was concerned about it. Were you aware of the fuel situation?
Well, we had actually lost all the radios in the car. I mean, they were still in there. Nobody took them or anything, but I couldn't talk to them. I didn't know what the situation was, and I would keep asking questions like, do I need to conserve fuel and hold up the sign if I do? Because the mic was live. It wouldn't cut off, so they could talk to me. So I kept asking them all these questions. I kept asking them if Earnhardt was the yellow car way back there, because I couldn't tell, and I was just making sure I'd conserve fuel and keep him back there in it.
Did you know the fuel was close?
Well, I figured it was, but, you know, Harry's the one that tells me all that, so I just drive the car.
You came on in the second half after the long rain delay, and you ran so strong. Were there any changes in either the way you drove the car or the way it was prepared?
Not really. You know, we had a little struggle there when the rain finally came. And when the race restarted, the tires, the track came back to me, I think. It was kind of like a situation in Charlotte that Earnhardt, you know, kind of the track came to him after that rain. Today the track came to me, and now we're all even again.
And you were watching Earnhardt in the mirror, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely watching him back there. You know, it's nerve-wracking to be up front, especially like what happened to me last week when Darrell beat me. Caution came out again, and he beat me to the line for the last deal, and you know, I'm excited. Can you tell?
As well he should be at this place. This is the racetrack that gave Tim Richmond his Winston Cup start, and here he is on victory lane for the second time.
What do you want me to do here? Thanks.
The win breaks a 2-year drought for Tim Richmond. He's not won since April of 1984. Word from the infield care center is that Morgan Shepherd is okay. He'll be released. Harry Gant and Buddy Arrington will be kept overnight for observation, but no serious injury to any of the 3 drivers. That's good news.
That is indeed good news, Mike, that they took a lick like they took down in turn 1, and they're going to walk away from it.
Mugging for the camera is Tim Richmond, the victor in the Miller High Life 500.